There's a special kind of magic in growing fruit trees right outside your door, even when you don't have much space, much sunlight, or much time. Most people think fruit trees belong in big backyards, but today you're going to discover 15 incredible varieties that thrive in pots, tolerate shade, and practically grow themselves. If you've ever wanted a tiny orchard on a balcony, a shaded patio, or a little corner of your yard, this is your moment. Welcome back to Purely Garden. If you love easy, rewarding crops that work with your life instead of against it, you're in the right place. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new guide. Let's jump straight into these lazy gardener treasures. Fruit tree number 1, Dwarf Surinam Cherry. The Dwarf Surinam Cherry is one of those plants that feels like it shouldn't be this easy, yet it rewards even the most hands-off gardener with glossy foliage and bright, lantern-shaped fruit. It handles containers beautifully because its root system stays compact, and it doesn't mind partial shade as long as it gets a bit of dappled light during the day. What makes it especially appealing for tiny spaces is its natural shape. It grows into a neat little mound that looks like a decorative shrub, so it blends into patios, balconies, and small courtyards without ever feeling oversized or demanding. The fruit forms in little bursts, almost like surprises tucked between the leaves, and the plant keeps producing as long as it's warm. Another reason gardeners love it is how little maintenance it asks for. Once the soil is well draining and the pot isn't too large, the tree settles in and practically raises itself. Occasional watering, a light feeding now and then, and you're set. It's tough, adaptable, and doesn't throw tantrums when conditions aren't perfect. Even beginners get consistent results, and the nostalgic taste of those sweet tart cherries makes every harvest feel like a treat from an old backyard tree you somehow managed to squeeze into a modern tiny space. Fruit tree number 2, Dwarf Ice Cream Banana. The dwarf ice cream banana is a dream for anyone who wants a tropical touch without needing a huge yard or blazing sun all day long. It stays compact, especially when grown in a pot, and its thick paddle-like leaves give even the smallest patio a lush, calming feel. What makes it great for shaded or partially shaded areas is its ability to keep growing with just a few hours of filtered or indirect light. The plant doesn't rush, it builds itself steadily, and once it settles into its container, it becomes one of those low-effort trees that simply enjoys being left alone. When it finally fruits, the small clusters of bananas carry a creamy, vanilla-like flavor that feels nostalgic and almost homemade, like something you'd find in an old family garden rather than a tiny modern space. It also fits perfectly into a lazy gardener's style because it's more forgiving than most banana varieties. As long as the pot drains well and the soil stays slightly moist, it remains happy. You don't need to prune heavily or fuss over it. A little mulch on top, the occasional feeding, and the plant does the rest. Even the leaves add charm as they sway in the light breeze and unfurl into fresh green fans. It's one of those plants that makes your space look intentionally designed even when you're barely doing anything, and the payoff in fruit and atmosphere is far more than the effort you put in. Fruit tree number 3, Dwarf Navel Orange. The dwarf navel orange is one of the easiest citrus trees to keep in a pot, and it brings a cheerful, nostalgic vibe to any small space. Its compact size means it never overwhelms a balcony or patio, and it's surprisingly tolerant of partial shade. As long as it gets a few hours of gentle sunlight, it keeps its glossy leaves and continues setting fruit. What makes it such a good fit for tiny spaces is how neatly it grows. The branches stay manageable, the canopy stays rounded, and the fragrant blossoms appear even when conditions aren't perfect. Those blossoms alone are worth growing the tree for, filling your space with a soft, sweet scent that feels like stepping into a family garden from years ago. The fruit itself is reliable and consistent. Dwarf navel oranges have that classic, comforting flavor many people grew up with, and they ripen beautifully even in containers. The tree doesn't ask for much, aside from well-draining soil and regular watering. It responds well to light feeding, but doesn't punish you if you forget here and there. Over time, it becomes one of those plants that quietly thrives in the background, rewarding you with color, fragrance, and fruit while fitting seamlessly into a relaxed, low-maintenance gardening style. Fruit tree number 4, Strawberry Guava. The strawberry guava is a powerhouse for small, shaded spaces because it doesn't need intense sunlight to stay productive. Its foliage is dense, glossy, and naturally shaped like a compact hedge, which makes it perfect for patios, balconies, and narrow walkways. Even in partial shade, it keeps its deep green color and produces round, ruby-red fruit that tastes like a mix of strawberries and tropical guava. It brings that old-fashioned backyard feel into the smallest modern space, almost like the kind of fruit tree your grandparents might have had growing by a fence. The flowers are small and white with a light, sweet fragrance, and they attract pollinators even in cramped areas where you'd assume nothing would visit. It's the kind of plant that softens an area instantly and makes it feel lush without any extra effort. What makes strawberry guava so good for a lazy gardener is how little attention it demands. The roots stay comfortably contained in a pot, and the tree handles mist waterings better than most fruiting plants. It doesn't need special pruning, complicated feeding schedules, or delicate care. As long as the soil drains well, and the plant isn't sitting in deep shade all day, it grows steadily and fruits generously. Even the harvest is simple, because the fruit practically falls into your hand when it's ready. Over time, the plant becomes one of those dependable, nostalgic staples in your garden, offering color, fragrance, and flavor while barely asking anything in return. Fruit tree number 5, Dwarf Mulberry Everbearing. The dwarf everbearing mulberry is one of the most rewarding fruit trees you can grow in a pot, especially when space and sunlight are limited. It has a naturally compact shape that stays manageable even in small containers, and it begins producing fruit far earlier than most trees. What makes it stand out is its ability to keep fruiting in gentle waves throughout the warm months, even when it only gets partial sun. The berries form along the branches, like little strings of jewels, shifting from pale green to deep purple as they ripen. There's something nostalgic about mulberries in general. The flavor is rich and old-fashioned, like the kind of berry you'd snack on straight from a childhood backyard tree. Growing that same experience in a tight modern space feels almost magical. This tree is also incredibly forgiving, which makes it perfect for anyone who prefers a laid-back gardening style. It's happy in a medium-sized pot with good drainage and doesn't complain if you skip a watering or forget to fertilize for a while. Pruning is optional and simple, mainly to keep the shape tidy, and the tree responds quickly to any light trim. Even in partial shade, it maintains healthy foliage and continues setting fruit as long as it gets a few hours of mild light. It's the type of plant that rewards you again and again without demanding precision or constant upkeep. Over time, it becomes a quiet companion in your garden, offering steady harvests and a comforting sense of familiarity. Fruit tree number 6, Barbados Cherry Acerola. The Barbados cherry is one of the best fruit trees for cramped shaded spots because it stays naturally small and still produces an impressive amount of fruit. In a pot, it settles into a tidy, rounded shape with glossy green leaves that brighten up any corner. What makes it especially appealing for tiny spaces is its ability to thrive with only a few hours of soft light. It doesn't need full direct sun to bloom, and once it starts flowering, the delicate pink blossoms appear in little bursts that make the entire plant look cheerful. The cherries develop quickly afterward, turning into bright red gems with a sweet, tangy flavor that feels nostalgic, almost like homemade juice from a childhood kitchen. It's the kind of tree that brings a warm, familiar feeling, even if your garden is just a small balcony or patio. From a care standpoint, it's a perfect match for anyone who prefers low-effort gardening. The root system stays compact, so it's content in a medium-sized container as long as the soil drains well. It handles heat, handles mist waterings, and even handles less than perfect soil without fuss. Pruning is optional and mostly about keeping the plant looking neat because the tree naturally manages its own shape. Once it settles in, it grows steadily and fruits multiple times a year, giving you small harvests that feel more frequent than you'd expect from such a small plant. It's reliable, beautiful, and incredibly rewarding, all while fitting neatly into a relaxed, easygoing gardening routine. Fruit tree number 7. Dwarf Fig, Celeste or Brown Turkey. In the Dwarf Fig is a classic choice for small spaces because it delivers that old-world charm without needing a large garden or perfect sunlight. In a pot, it grows into a sculptural little tree with broad, hand-shaped leaves that instantly make a corner feel cozy and lived in. What makes figs so impressive is their ability to keep producing even when they get only partial sun. A few hours of gentle light is usually enough to keep them happy, and once the tree establishes itself in its container, the fruit starts forming in clusters that slowly swell and soften. There's something deeply nostalgic about figs. Their aroma, their texture, and the way they ripen on the branch all feel like stepping into a warm old backyard where everything grows at its own pace. The Celeste and Brown Turkey varieties are especially good for containers because they stay compact and fruit generously. Caring for a dwarf fig fits perfectly into a lazy gardener's rhythm. It prefers good drainage, moderate watering, and not much else. In fact, figs tend to do better when you don't overthink them. They aren't picky about soil, they tolerate a bit of neglect, and they handle light pruning without any drama. Even the leaves add beauty, casting soft shade and creating a calm, slightly Mediterranean feel. Once the fruit ripens, harvesting is simple. The figs become soft, fragrant, and ready to enjoy. It's a satisfying crop that gives you a sense of abundance without demanding constant work, making it an ideal companion for anyone growing fruit in tight, shaded, or relaxed spaces. Fruit tree number 8. Dwarf Pomegranate. The Dwarf Pomegranate brings a lot of character to small spaces because it mixes beauty and productivity in a way few compact fruit trees can match. In a pot, it develops into a small, sculpted shrub with narrow leaves and bright, festive flowers that look almost like tiny paper lanterns. These blossoms appear even when the tree gets only partial sun, which makes it ideal for patios and balconies where light shifts throughout the day. Once the flowers fade, the miniature pomegranates start forming, slowly turning from pale green to deep red. Even the small varieties carry that familiar sweet tart flavor, and seeing them ripen in such a compact plant feels almost nostalgic, like discovering a childhood fruit tree that somehow shrank itself to fit modern living spaces. It's also a great fit for a low-maintenance gardener because it doesn't need perfect conditions to perform well. The tree enjoys well-drained soil and steady but not excessive watering, and it continues to grow and bloom even if you forget to feed it now and then. Pruning is simple and only needed when you want to shape the plant or remove a stray branch. The roots stay contained, which means it won't outgrow its pot quickly, and it tolerates heat far better than many other fruiting plants. Over time, the dwarf pomegranate becomes one of those steady, decorative companions you can count on for color, charm, and small but meaningful harvests, all without demanding constant attention. Fruit tree number 10. Dwarf Papaya. The dwarf papaya is an unexpected star for small spaces because it delivers a tropical feel and fast fruit production without demanding a large garden. Unlike standard papaya trees, which can grow towering and unwieldy, the dwarf varieties stay contained and thrive in pots or small corners. Their slender trunks and vibrant, deeply lobed leaves create a dramatic silhouette that immediately draws the eye, making any patio or balcony feel lively and exotic. Even in partial shade, they continue to grow, and under the right conditions, they can flower and fruit within the first year. The small, sweet papayas that develop are a nostalgic taste of summer, soft, fragrant, and refreshing, evoking memories of backyard treats or tropical vacations. What makes dwarf papaya perfect for lazy gardeners is how little maintenance it demands relative to the reward. The plants prefer fertile, well-draining soil and regular watering, but they are forgiving if you miss a few days here and there. Minimal pruning is needed, just enough to remove dead leaves or maintain the shape of the plant. Their roots remain manageable in a container, which means they won't quickly outgrow their space. Over time, the tree becomes a reliable and decorative addition, producing fruit steadily while adding a touch of lush greenery to any small garden. It's one of those plants that makes you feel like you've achieved something exotic and productive without ever overcomplicating your gardening routine. Fruit tree number 11, Dwarf Loquat. The Dwarf Loquat is a compact evergreen tree that thrives in pots and tolerates partial shade, making it perfect for small gardens, patios, or balconies. Its glossy dark green leaves form a dense canopy that adds structure and beauty, while the fragrant creamy white flowers appear in early spring, filling the air with a subtle nostalgic scent. The small pear-shaped fruit ripens to a golden orange hue and offers a sweet tart flavor that feels like a taste of childhood orchards. Even in a tiny space, the Dwarf Loquat manages to bring a sense of abundance and charm, making it feel like a full-sized garden in miniature form. From a maintenance standpoint, it's forgiving and low effort. The plant prefers well-draining soil and moderate watering, but it can handle occasional neglect without losing vigor. Pruning is minimal, mostly to shape the canopy or remove old branches, and it adapts well to container life over the years. For lazy gardeners, the Dwarf Loquat offers a steady, reliable harvest and adds year-round visual appeal, combining practicality and nostalgia in a single, easy-to-manage tree. Fruit tree number 12. Dwarf Kaffir Lime. The Dwarf Kaffir Lime is a small but mighty tree, perfect for tiny spaces and containers. Its glossy, dark green leaves are fragrant and often used in cooking, giving your garden both beauty and utility. Even in partial shade, it grows steadily, producing small, bumpy limes that are intensely aromatic and tart, reminiscent of traditional dishes and family kitchens from the past. Its compact, bushy shape makes it ideal for patios or balconies, bringing a lush, tropical feel without taking over the space. Caring for a Dwarf Kaffir lime is straightforward. It prefers well-draining soil and consistent watering, though it tolerates brief dry periods. Minimal pruning keeps it neat, and occasional feeding encourages more fruiting. Its slow, steady growth means it won't outgrow a pot quickly, making it an excellent choice for lazy gardeners who want a functional, fragrant, and decorative fruit tree that fits seamlessly into small, shaded or semi-shaded spaces. Fruit tree number 13, Dwarf Passionfruit Vine on a small trellis. The Dwarf Passionfruit Vine is a unique choice for tiny spaces because it combines vertical growth with compact fruiting, making it perfect for patios, balconies, or small gardens. Trained on a small trellis, it creates a lush, green wall of leaves and tendrils, giving your space a tropical, nostalgic charm. Even in partial shade, the vine produces vibrant purple or yellow fruits that are packed with sweet tart flavor, reminiscent of fresh fruit markets and childhood summers. Its flowers are striking and fragrant, attracting pollinators even in confined areas, which adds life and movement to your garden without taking up much ground space. Maintenance is minimal, which suits lazy gardeners perfectly. The vine needs a well-draining pot, occasional watering, and light feeding to keep it productive. Pruning is simple and mainly focused on keeping the plant tidy and training it along the trellis. Once established, it rewards you with a steady harvest of flavorful fruit and adds an eye-catching vertical element to your small garden, blending beauty, nostalgia, and practicality in one compact package. Fruit tree number 14, Dwarf Mango Pickering or Cogshell. The Dwarf Mango is an excellent option for small spaces because it stays compact while still producing sweet, juicy fruit. Its glossy, dark green leaves give any balcony, patio, or tiny garden a lush, tropical look, and even partial sunlight is enough to keep it healthy. The Pickering and Cogshell varieties are especially suited to container life, maintaining a manageable size without sacrificing flavor. When the fruit ripens, it carries that nostalgic, sun-warmed taste that reminds you of summer days and backyard gardens, all within a plant that fits neatly into a small space. Caring for a dwarf mango is surprisingly easy. It prefers well-draining soil and regular watering, with occasional feeding to encourage flowering and fruiting. Minimal pruning is required, just enough to maintain shape and remove dead or crowded branches. Over time, it becomes a reliable, low-maintenance fruit tree that offers vibrant color, fragrance, and sweet harvests, making it ideal for lazy gardeners who want maximum reward with minimal effort. Fruit tree number 15, Juneberry Serviceberry. The Juneberry, also known as Serviceberry, is a versatile and compact tree that thrives in containers and tolerates partial shade, making it perfect for small spaces. Its delicate, lacy leaves turn vibrant shades of red and gold in autumn, adding a nostalgic charm reminiscent of classic backyard gardens. In late spring, the tree produces clusters of small white flowers, which later transform into dark purple, blueberry-like fruit. The berries are sweet and flavorful, perfect for snacking fresh or adding to desserts, and their steady production makes the Juneberry a reliable companion in any tiny garden. Maintenance is straightforward, which makes it ideal for lazy gardeners. The dwarf varieties remain manageable in size, and the tree adapts well to container life, with minimal pruning. It prefers well-draining soil and moderate watering, but it's forgiving of occasional neglect. Over time, the Juneberry becomes a quietly productive feature in your space, providing seasonal beauty, fragrant flowers, and delicious fruit with very little fuss, blending practicality and nostalgic charm in a single, easy-to-grow tree. All 15 of these fruit trees prove that you don't need a sprawling garden or full sun to grow a thriving, productive orchard. From dwarf citrus and tropical favorites to nostalgic berries and hardy small trees, each one fits perfectly into pots, shaded corners, or tiny patios, giving you fresh fruit and timeless charm with minimal effort. If you enjoyed discovering these lazy gardener treasures, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Purely Garden, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a guide that makes small space gardening effortless and rewarding.